strive for the best. If you keep looking forward, you'll find something out there that might be good for you, and that will change into it will be good for you.
This podcast is proudly supported by the Ōtara Network Action Committee, ōNAC Community-Owned, Community-Driven and Community-Led.
Kia ora everyone, welcome to the Ōtara podcast, sponsored by ōNAC Community-Owned, Community-Driven and Community-Led. The reason why I'm speeding up really quickly is to beat the rain so you can hear me. But other than that, guess who's the guest? All right, it's me!
Wait, if you're the guest, who's interviewing you?
Why is the camera pointing at you?
Wait, it's me!
Hey!
Will Fleming, the behind-the-scenes guy. Kia ora everyone, welcome to the We Are Ōtara podcast. I'm your host, Will Fleming. Today, we put the cameras on this guy, Vincent Vitolino. We talk podcasting, life, questions that you need to be asking your loved ones. Vinnie, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Let's go all in. Hey everyone, welcome to the Accelerating Aotearoa podcast studio. You're wondering, why are you seeing me? Well, normally this is me behind the camera. My name is Will and I do a lot of the podcasting work here at Accelerating. But today we have a very special guest. He is the person that normally sits on the other side of where I sit. I'm the quiet one. He's the loud one. Yes, I am referring to Vincent Vitolino. Hello, Vinnie.
Hey, summer, dude.
How does it feel, Vinnie, to be on the other side of the camera?
Weird. Really, really weird.
I thought it would be an awesome podcast for us to, I guess, just recap on the work you've been doing with me. I had this grand vision of you being a 1%er, a podcaster who has done enough episodes to be in the 1% club, and you've achieved that, Vinnie. You've created over 21 podcasts, which means you are now officially a 1%er podcaster worldwide.
Well, it's a privilege, honestly, being that 1%. That means that I get, does that mean I get discounts at KFC with my 1%?
I think so.
Is the equivalent of a 1%er, right?
Yes, something like that, Vinnie. Now, what I want to do a bit in this chat is, I guess, talk about your journey as the 1%er podcaster. Before you knew you could be in the 1%, what did you think when I pitched you the idea about you being Accelerating Aotearoa's resident podcaster?
Ludicrous. I never thought that I could be doing this sort of thing. I thought it was... I never gave myself a chance to actually, put myself forward. So when I got the opportunity, I remember it like it was yesterday. Literally, we were in the middle of a call, and you're like, "Hey, talking to Judy, we're going to be doing a podcast called Southside Kōrero. We want you and Jana to be hosting this." And I was like, "Oh, wow." You know what I mean? I was the all-out Vinnie at the time,
As opposed to the all-in.
No, absolutely. Now I'm all in.
And what do you think those barriers were in your head, Vinnie, when you think back? Why is it that you couldn't imagine yourself having these awesome chats with awesome people?
Well, to go back like 2019, it was a rough year for me. So I did this for a vlog for Guy's channel. Guy being my tutor. So what happened was that I had a lot of stress coming out of studies, as well as being part of the student council, and then I didn't have any self-esteem. I still do, but I'm still working those kinks out. But I had no self-esteem whatsoever. I had no confidence. So when I went into this, Will found me, sort of crying in the corner, going, "I don't know what to do." But this guy over here going, "You can do it. Get up, and you can do it." And I went into the first episode with Michelle, Nana Girl, just flying through with Will's guidance. It was a brilliant experience.
what do you think the scary bit is? The fact that you have to hear your voice? I mean, part of what we want to do here at Accelerating Aotearoa is to amplify more voices, to record those voices, to capture those voices for tomorrow. You know, too many of our voices are lost. They get lost when people pass on. You know, if it's not written, it seems to be, it's lost. Maybe there's photographs, but we live in a time now where we know how to run this technical stuff. And I guess now the barrier is people think that that what they have to say isn't worth it, but that's so wrong. It is so worth it. Why did you think that, you know, what you had to say wasn't important?
Well, to me, going back to what you said with that loaded question was, first and foremost, I didn't have the chance to record something with my father, Ōtara Vitolino. That was a missed opportunity, but you know, to allow someone like Huia to have her conversation with her mother, that was the most beautiful moment that I could ever keep. That's something locked into my heart, and to allow that conversation to happen is a wonderful, but it had to come from the person behind the camera. That person, that's me, because I have multiple voices in my head, and Will knows this, that I have these conflicts. And these conflicts are still existing to this day, but not as harsh as the start. It was very loud, but when you get yourself in that situation where you start to focus and you go, hey, let's reach out to people, let's talk to people, and if you want to focus on something, let's focus on this thing that we're delivering. We're giving people that voice, that chance to share their story. So in the near future, their next generation who's looking from a perspective of, hey, maybe I know about Nana Huia and Grandnana, you know, and her talks, or more importantly, my talks with everyone else. So going back to like Akire, Sully, Judy Spate, you know, having those conversations to build up for myself to share to people and going, these are beautiful people. I had these beautiful conversations.
Vinnie, if you could sit here with your dad, and what would you ask him?
I would ask him, I have 5 questions I would have asked him. Number 1 is, I want to hear the honest story of why my name is what it is. 2, how was it like growing up in Samoa? Was it different like from here to being in the islands? 3, why did you come to New Zealand? Was there like a work that you wanted to go to, or family enticed you to come into New Zealand? Number 4 would be what still drives you to this day? Because I want to know what wakes him up every morning to be that best dad, you know. So I want to know what gives him that drive. And 5th and final, and this is the bigger question. What does he think of me? Because, you know, with Dad and I, we barely talk to each other. So it's just like, hey, Dad. And then we'll go, how was your day? So that was him. But he will talk to me every now and then, even though when I get in trouble and whatnot. But, you know, Dad, I want to know what Dad was thinking when, you know, how I am now today. So that would have been a beautiful conversation.
For those people who are lucky enough to have their dads, should they be asking their dads those questions?
110%. I highly recommend that you have these sort of conversations with your dad and record them, because you never know when you're going to need it. And to this day, I'm living off memories that are fragmented in my head. And sometimes they don't sound right. But I remember that I can go back to my family to ask them, but they're not as reliable. But to have that physical, digital copy of you in that conversation with your loved ones, it doesn't have to necessarily be your dad. It can be your mother, your brother, your sister, your auntie, your cousins, your uncle. the conversation that you have in it being digitized and recorded for years to come is something that you need in your lives. So I highly recommend to have those conversations with your dad or your mother or your family members and just talk. Just have that talk.
When people watch you on the podcast, they're like, oh man, he's got so many questions, it's so comfortable. Is it scary when you have these chats? Talk us through the feelings that you get when you prepare for a podcast, when you're in the podcast.
Oh, to go through that process? Oh, absolutely. So the process goes like this. Me and Will will sit, talk to each other, and we'll go, okay, Judy has thrown us an email on a guest that we should hit up. And we normally will, because I don't have the strength to email, to be honest, but normally we'll send out an email going, kia ora, or talofa, we would like to interview you, and would you be interested at these days around the afternoon? And then they will either reply, and we'll be happy, and we're like, yes, or we don't, and then we move on to the next person, and we go, it's 3 weeks. But besides all the booking stuff, for me is that I do the research, and I learned that from Will to get that nailed in, because without that research, I go in there going, hamada. But like I know I'm going to keep saying Will's name in this whole segment, so I'm just going to say it once. Will is a brilliant tutor who has taught me etiquette, or in the simpler term, methods for me to do my interviews. So first you got to get that research done. If you don't get that research done, you won't be able to get the essence of that person. So I'll do like at least 2 to 3 days worth of interview research, or if it's like a short time, I'll get together with Will, and Will go, hey, we got this interview. I know it's a short notice, but let's chop through. Let's do that research. Cool. We can talk to each other about it. And I appreciate those talks, Will. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinnie. That's all right. You don't have to be kind just because we're on camera.
Hey. All out.
For Accelerating Aotearoa, it has a long history of digital.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been a digital tutor here,
That's right.
helping people with different digital aspects. Why I'm really motivated with the current work we're doing, especially around podcasting, is because it brings technology, the microphones, the cameras, the lights, together with this human connection. Can you talk through what it feels like, Vinnie, when you connect with someone? I mean, I guess your mind is saying, oh, how am I going to connect with this person? I have nothing in common with them. Like a Reuben Wiki. And then all of a sudden, what happens when we start having this talanoa together?
So you said it like right. You hit the nail right on the head. I have, and this to prove something to those who think that interviewing is easy. It's not. Honestly, it's a craft that you have to keep shaping and honing into, like a diamond in a rough. So you have to keep shaping it and polishing it till it shines. So for me to make a connection, I have to do this awkward dance called the rolling start. And I call it an awkward dance is because if it's like two people sort of like dancing amongst each other, because the interviewee is also as nervous as I am. So we just have this small talk. We go, hey, how's your morning? How's your day? And then from then onwards, I'll listen to their day and I'll pick up keywords. And from those keywords, I go, okay, let's hone into this.
Right.
Will had KFC. So how's your KFC? How was KFC?
I didn't have KFC. Yeah, no, it was delicious.
Perfect.
Hey, just before we go further, rolling start is what you're doing now. You're just saying anything to get something happening. So you as the interviewer, the host, the looker afterer, starts listening.
That's right.
And looking to connect in any way possible. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's right. It's a technique that again Will has helped me out to develop, and it's developed to over 10 plus episodes, and it's a really good feeling for a person who started off question based and Will noticed that I was struggling with question-based stuff because it'll be dead air. And dead air in terms of a podcast is it's not very good. It means that the guest is sort of just like, they don't know what to say next. So Will goes, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's start something with the past, present, future, and we'll call it the rolling start. And it's an amazing technique, to be honest. It's so good because I don't have to go off the gun going, well, I heard you blah, 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 and then go straight into it, It's so hard. So if I again, an example, if I wasn't asking Will what's his lunch, I'll be like, so Will, I heard that you got a company out in such and such. So how's your company?
No, it's good. It's a good question, Vinny. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's that type of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Getting them to not think they're in a question-answer scenario.
No, absolutely. And it butts heads, and it gets to the point where, we're exhausted. And we're already on like the first 2 to 5 minutes of the interview. We're already exhausted mentally because we don't know where to go from there. But to start off with something as minuscule as how's your morning or how's your afternoon, or I heard that you drove with a bigger pickup truck. It's getting them to sort of just have that facade of like, oh, we're just talking, Okay, cool. We can just have this conversation. We go straight into it. It's beautiful.
What have been some of the highlights for you from your podcast? If you think through some of the guests, you've had many great guests. You've had, the likes of Professor Collins, Michelle Dickinson. Yeah. You've had people like Ruben Wiki. You've spoken to a lot of amazing people. Are there themes that come through, Vinny, on this podcast for you that I guess have widened your view of the world? Well,
for me, it's the learning process of how people live their lives, and it's sort of just taught me to not judge by the book by its cover. I've learned over the years of doing the interviews that as scary as some people may look, or as sort of hard to get through, these are just human beings behind the camera and behind that flesh and bones. And to highlight some of the conversations that we've had so far is that Willie Maia is the one that had broke the mold for me. Reason being is that it was so tough to talk to him.
Who's that?
Willie Maia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was so tough to talk to him, but the learning lesson at the time was that, look, I can, he's answering back to me, and that's the only thing that matters, is that I'm getting these answers, and they're from him. They're not from someone else. They're not from a script. It's from that person, and it's beautiful. What else I've learned so far is that is self-preservation. Self-preservation is it's vital for you to have that story in you, and to have that kept inside of you is just, I can't explain it fully, but self-preservation is the word that I keep hearing in my head in terms of these interviews that I come through.
Just a quick note that what you may be hearing is rain. We have an awesome studio, but it is a room in a building, and at times it rains, and so that's what you're hearing. But I kind of think, and excuse me if I go too deep, but I like that we're even capturing the rain.
Yeah.
It's like this is not a radio show. This is not a TV show. This is not a fake production. This is real life.
Yeah.
And when it rains, we capture that, and that's just how it is, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and that's the main focus about these conversations, is capturing real life conversations. It's not like I'm reading it off from teleprompter. It's not like Will's giving me notes to read. And it goes back to the technique, like rolling start. I don't think you'll ever have that in a proper studio, because that's just deemed as not very efficient. Because if it was efficient, then a lot of our newscasters will be going straight into rolling start, but they're always straight on point. This is the point, topic, moot, and go straight from there. What we produce here is a opportunity for our community, especially Ōtara, to give them a platform to talk about this topic, which is about them. And we more than often we don't get that topic out there, as most times it gets lost in the BS. And I'm going to be very open about it. It's sad. You learn about statistics about different things about Ōtara, but they're not positive. But there's also gems in those statistics about kids who are striving. You have kids who are on STEM, like our beautiful lot in our Curious Mind group, who are doing wonders to try and track down why our water, is mixed up with poo water, And it's like our kids in our geek camp, they are learning about day-to-day things like how to plant a tree or how to interact with friends. More often or not, when you grow up to be an adult, and this is from my experience, you don't get the time to sit down to learn those skills on how to make friends. You're too busy being in this tunnel of just focus on work and whatnot. But when you're at school, in primary and to high school, it's all about making friends, right? It's all about that social status quo. And that's what I feel, is that it goes back down to let us share our story. That be the guiding point for us as a community, so the people out there can hear us. That social thing. Let's socialize, do things, talk, share.
In 50 years, what do you hope people say about these podcasts that we're currently doing?
That's a good question. Shucks. I didn't think 50 years. I was thinking like 20 years' time. I was hoping that I could get away with 20 years' time. But 50 years, I've never actually thought of that far. I'm 32 years old, by the way. So I haven't thought that far out. I'm thinking, I'm even thinking about 5 minutes' time. You know what I mean? I got dinner to come up. But 50 years' time. Thanks, Will. There's a big question. 50 years' time. I like to think, I'll burn it down to 5 things. Number one, I like to think that I made an impact to Jamaica. Cameron, who sits here every day, who learns from us. I like to think that in 50 years' time, that young man gets up and he stands up proud. And he goes, I'm doing this. And we go, we support you. I want him to be a beacon for the kids out here to see that there is opportunities out there. He has a beautiful smile with a beautiful soul. Let him be that beacon for other kids in Ōtara to know that we can be better than just rugby players or music writers. They're still beautiful. Let them be who they want to be and let them grow up to be what they need to be. Number two, I like to see me in 50 years' time see Ōtara have a complete change. And it's changed for good. That we can be able to hold up ourselves very proudly and look at other people going, yeah, you heard those stories, yeah. That was us, but we're changed. Number three, this is for me in general, is that I would like to see myself become more grown up and just, more mature. I hope that if I reach to the age of 80, I can be able to, be all in, Will. Oh, this thing. Number four, I would like to make my dad proud. With all the work that I've done so far, I want to keep building on that work. And that's where I want it to grow up to the point where I can reach up to the heavens. And Dad could see it. Without just looking down, he could just see it where it is. It'll be a bright thing where, yeah, my son's done this. I'm proud of him. And finally, fifth and final, I want to see Accelerating Aotearoa grow to his absolute potential. And that the next group of people who are taking over from Judy and Tony are people who love and care as much as Judy and Tony has. It's a legacy of over 10 plus years. And it's a beautiful legacy of beautiful work that has been done throughout those years. And to see someone take over that legacy will be a beautiful sight to see.
That's beautiful, Vinny. Now, in tradition of this podcast, you normally ask the guests to leave their favourite quote or saying or piece of wisdom. And today, as the cameras and microphones get turned on you, I ask you that same question. What is something you wish to leave for our people, for the kids watching, for the people watching who need that piece of wisdom?
Damn, I never thought of it. I don't have what I would normally go from my favorite leader, which is Winston Churchill, or go from my favorite person, Will Fleming, old guy Pigden. But I think I'm going to quote something from me, which is strive for the best. If you keep looking forward, you'll find something out there that might be good for you, and that will change into it will be good for you. So look forward and hope for the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vincent Vitolino, the rain is our clapping. How do you feel, Vinny? You're all good?
Yeah, brother.
Awesome. And I hope everyone out there enjoyed it. As you hear the rain, know that it's because we're on this authentic podcast where rain, hail or shine, we'll bring you these chats. Once again, Vincent, thank you. And we'll see you back on that side of the camera where you'll be doing your mahi. Until next time, ka kite, peace out, and we'll see you soon.